Hi everyone! So today I want to talk to you guys about sharks. So I'm sure all of you are very familiar with sharks. I mean, we see them in documentaries, we see them on the news, and we see them in movies such as Jaws. But sharks are often highly feared by us humans, which makes sense because in essence they're giant carnivorous fish. But there are actually so many more reasons we should be curious about these creatures than fearful of them. Today I want to share with you guys some interesting information on sharks in general, and then I want to tell you about my personal top 3 favorite types of sharks. First off, I want to talk to you guys about shark attacks. Shark attacks, no matter how severe they are always terrifying to hear about. But shark attacks actually happen a lot less than people perceive that they do. According to Sierra Nugent in her article, Shark Attacks in the U.S. Waters and How Common They Really Are, published by Time magazine in 2018, Nugent says that you are far less likely to be killed by a shark than by lightning. And in that same article, Nugent talks to Gavin Naylor, who's the director for Florida's Museum Program for Shark Research. Naylor says that if sharks were actively hunting people, we'd see far more attacks. So you guys can rest assured knowing that when you get into the water at the beach, sharks are not targeting you. In a film called Sharks Stewards of the Reef, produced by Green Planet Films in 2007, the video focuses on sharks in general and their contribution to our ecosystem. The film's narrator goes on to say that statistics reveal an average of only 5 human deaths per year from sharks worldwide. Unfortunately, though, these beautiful and magnificent creatures as a whole are being killed each year, which is worrisome because sharks do a lot for our ecosystem, and thus they do a lot to keep our oceans beautiful and running smoothly. In a scholarly article published in 2018 by the Society for Conservation Biology titled Shark Bites and Shark Conservation, written by Christopher Pepin-Neff, Pepin-Neff says that fear of sharks correlates with support for lethal policies, meaning that people's perceptions of sharks can highly impact if sharks are hunted down and ultimately killed after any sort of shark-related incident. Lastly, referring back to Sierra Nugent's article on sharks published by Time magazine, Nugent goes on to report that fisheries wipe out an estimated 100 million sharks each year. So now that we have some facts straight about sharks, I want to tell you guys about my top 3 favorite types of sharks. So one of my top favorites is the bull shark. Now, bull sharks are known for being quite aggressive and quite large sharks. In an article published by National Wildlife in 2011 called The Bull Shark's Double Life, the author Michael Tennyson reports that bull sharks are the only large shark that can survive in both freshwater and saltwater. And in fact, in Tennyson's article, he also states that bull sharks have been sighted in the Mississippi River, Florida's Indian River Lagoon, and more than 2,000 miles from the ocean in the Amazon River. You can see from these facts alone that these sharks are pretty tough creatures. But Tennyson's article also states that one bull shark had a stingray spine that went completely through its heart, yet the shark appeared to be perfectly healthy. In 2018, National Geographic reported that bull sharks can grow up to be 11.5 feet long and weigh 500 pounds. So these sharks are quite large and magnificent creatures, and they also are quite tough. Bull sharks are reported to live in subtropical to tropical waters worldwide, and that's not to mention the freshwater areas they've been sighted in. So you can see why this shark is one of my favorites. It's a very adaptable shark, and it's very crazy to think that they can live in saltwater and freshwater and survive in both. The next type of shark I want to talk to you guys about is the oceanic white-tip shark. And like the name implies, the oceanic whitetips are usually found well offshore in deep water areas in subtropical to tropical waters, like the bull shark. But according to University of Florida's Florida Museum page in 2018, an oceanic white-tip shark can grow to be 11 to 13 feet long. So these are quite big creatures. And even though these creatures are interesting to learn about in and of themselves, they also have a quite interesting past in America's history. At the end of the Second World War, the ship a ship called the USS Indianapolis was hit and sunk by a Japanese submarine. The remaining crew of the USS Indianapolis had to not only try to survive being out in the open ocean, but they were also targets of many species of sharks. In an article published by National Geographic in 2016, titled "The Shipwreck Shark" by Glenn Hodges, Hodges reports that the oceanic whitetips were likely the predominant sharks that plagued the crew. Although this seems very terrifying and may make you afraid of these oceanic white-tip sharks, you really shouldn't be. Because in Hodges' article, he was also able to interview one of the surviving men on board the USS Indianapolis, named Lyle Omenhofer, who said that they had other problems. In fact, Hodges' article says that most of the men actually died from other causes such as injury, hypothermia, drowning, dehydration, and saltwater poisoning. So these sharks are quite interesting, not only because of their cool nature, that they live out in the middle of the ocean, but also because they have a quite interesting past in America's history. Lastly, I'm going to tell you guys about the salmon shark. So salmon sharks are quite rare, and in fact, I hadn't heard of one till last year. They don't get a lot of media coverage. And in fact, the University of Florida in 2018 reported that the salmon shark has never been positively identified in any shark attacks. So they have never targeted or attacked people. The salmon shark, though, is often mistaken for the great white shark because they look so similar, except that salmon sharks are a lot smaller than great white sharks, and they also don't have the history of attacks that great whites do. According to the University of Florida's Florida Museum page in 2018, salmon sharks are located in cooler waters, including waters found off of Japan, off western Pacific coasts of North Korea, South Korea, Russia, and the Bering Sea. So these animals live in very freezing cold waters, which is probably why we don't have much of any contact with them. The University of Florida also reported that salmon sharks are known to be endothermic animals, meaning that they are able to maintain their body temperature above the temperature of the surrounding waters, which is very cool because they are the only shark known to be able to do that. So you can see why all three of these sharks are very interesting to me. They all have unique characteristics that just make them so interesting to learn about. So that concludes my speech, and I hope you guys all learned something new today about sharks, and I hope that you all really learn to love and appreciate this animal like I do. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.